Hello and welcome to the Queen We Got You podcast. And I'm your host, Kerry, and I am joined today by my beautiful co-hosts, Kelly and Monique. How are you, girls?
Good, thank you.
Babe. So this week's topic is an amazing one. So before the Q&A, we had a bit of a chit-chat, and we were just talking about a few things, and we came up with a really good topic, and it is, who the fuck am I?
Ooh.
So this is based on, as we get older, we kind of like grow into the person we are, based on past mistakes, learnings, and then we kind of develop into the person we are.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing topic to get into. But before that, I'm going to ask Monique, how was your week?
I don't go first very often. This feels
Yeah,
a
that's
bit
because you like
special.
throwing everyone under the bus.
I like hearing your stories first. But no, my week, oh my goodness. So let's firstly celebrate the 50 we got there, 50. Beautiful women who were doing my 21-day self-love commitment. That's been very exciting. Lots of great chats in my DMs about that one. So I've loved that. And anyone who isn't doing the commitment with us, go do your love language quiz again. I've had lots of chats about this one in particular this week.
I've noticed that.
This seems to be the one people are like, oh, I didn't know that. Or even this morning I was having a chat with one of my girlfriends, and she was like, I did it, like, I was like, is that right? Did I answer the questions right? Because hers changed, and she was actually quite surprised by the results.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of people have done the quiz and then just left it at that, 5, 10, 15 years later. I think it's still the same.
Shit, I'm going to redo mine.
Go redo it. And it may be the same. And I know for myself, it's absolutely changed at different parts of my life. And in reflection, I can see why.
Yeah.
But also too, like the major ones, but also those middle ones can move around a lot as well. And I thought it was interesting. So that's been like a big part of my week this week. And then, we had a kiddie-free weekend, so that was nice. Just a bit of quality time with hubby.
Yeah.
And then happy Monday. We go again.
Here we go.
Yeah, already.
And that's me. Miss Cal.
Wonderful. Well, I had a bit of an off week last week. I felt very flat and tired and all the things. And so Sunday, I had a very average gym session on Saturday. Well, what I would call average.
Yeah.
Most people would probably say
Say
it was
it's
pretty
probably
good.
average for most people.
Yeah, it's still freak mode.
Yeah. And I hit yesterday and I went into the gym and I'm like, you know what, bitch? No. So I pulled my big girl pants up and I...
Beast mode.
Yeah, I did. I literally I'm like, all right, I got this. And I smashed it pretty hard and had a pretty good gym session yesterday. So that was cool. Lee and I had this moment of... with our plants in our house. So we've got this plant stand and so it's a whole thing, but basically I used to be known as the person who kills plants. So plants used to come to our house to die.
Oh my goodness.
But I was given an orchid, and this is going back about 7 years. So I've had this one orchid for 7 years, and I've kept it alive. And once I kept it alive for 12 months, I said to Lee, I'm not that person anymore. And I just started accumulating plants. And he used to tease me about it, but now he's kind of come on board a little bit. And so now we went and repotted some of the plants on the weekends, and we spread them out around the house in different places. And we bought new plant stands because I don't know how it happened, but it did, and I'm so here for it. I'm just in love with my plants in my house at the moment. So
It's so funny. It just reminded me, Paul walked in the house the day, on the weekend, and his words to me were, I'm so excited I've got a chili plant.
okay.
It sounds like Phil. Phil's obsessed with his plants at the moment.
Oh,
I mean, I'll take
hilarious.
honey and chili from him.
Yeah, well, we're growing a chili plant now.
I love his
so
bees.
funny.
His
It's
bees
so
are my
funny.
favourite. You've just got some
I
of his
just got
honey.
some honey as well, and
Have
I
you tried
it.
it?
It is beautiful.
Is it
it's
not
really
the
nice?
most? I messaged him the other week and I'm like, SOS, I've got to use Capilano honey. This is not a thing.
No.
Help me.
Oh,
But yeah,
plant
so
mama.
plants, and
It's so therapeutic though, isn't it?
it was. Yeah, and we were sitting there Saturday night, and we just had a night where usually we would watch like movies or whatever, and Lee's doing something really big and amazing, and we are planning it out. So we had this big like sheet of paper on the floor, and we're doing all this planning for it, which I'm not going to disclose because it's his thing, and I don't want to say stuff. But it's kind of exciting, and the more that I am involved with it, the more excited and into it he gets.
Yeah.
So I decided, he supports me so much through like my comp preps and stuff like that, and gym, and he's now at the gym, and he's on the weekend, he's like, who the fuck am I right now? Like, and because he's posing in the kitchen, and he's like, oh no, I can't eat that because there's too many fats in that, and like I've got to do this. And then he's like, his macros and his calories were out, and he's calculating, and he was yes, and he's calculating. He's like, oh, something's out, so I've got to calculate the macros of like what it says the macros are versus what the anyway. And he's like, well, thank you for sending me down that rabbit hole. I'm just like, this is not my fault, like. But so we were sitting there having just this wholesome night of like planning and like very creative thinking stuff. And we were sitting there, and we were in the middle of all these plants because we'd redistributed them across out there. Most of them are in our lounge room because we spend a lot of time in there. And so we were just sitting there in this thing, and we've got this one plant, and we named it Steve because it's got an attitude problem. So it's just this one like long stem with this one big broad leaf on it, and it actually moves. So it like will turn towards the sun and like then towards us and all of this sort of stuff. And it was just, so Lee named it Steve. And he's like, what's your problem today, Steve? Because he'll be like looking away towards the sun. So we got this whole thing with the plants going on. So that was
cool.
my weekend.
Kim Morrison was telling me like plants talk to each other.
Yeah.
So there's like a language, and even like, do you know when you smell cut grass, for instance?
Yes.
That when you smell that is actually a warning sign that the grass give out to each other that there's danger.
Oh, well, it smells
super
amazing.
interesting.
It's fascinating.
Yes.
It's so cool.
How about you, Miss Kerry? What did you do?
Oh, I thought I had a very unproductive week until you actually write down what you've been doing. When you just feel busy and like I've been super tired all week, and I'm on catch up from sleep from weeks ago, and I finally did that at the weekend. But last week I felt like I was just chasing my tail because I was tired all the time. But then when I sat down and realised what I'd done, and it was a lot of home things, to be honest, like going to the dentist myself, kids' dental appointments, took the dog for his vaccinations, ordered Phil's birthday present, ordered another birthday present. So got a lot of things done, booked restaurants. We go to Hamilton this week for his birthday over the weekend, and he turns 50. So I did a lot of things that I don't normally do in advance. So because of that, I was very productive.
I think as a business owner, sometimes we forget about the life stuff.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like we're like, oh, we're so unproductive in our business, but we did 75 tasks from our life that we've been banking up.
Yeah.
So I think little things like that, because I was busy at work, and then I just felt like I was chasing my tail all week. But then I was like, actually, I had a good week.
Good reflection.
Yes, I did. And then this weekend, I was actually really unwell on Saturday. So after my group session, I normally train. But I just went home, just super tired.
Well.
And had a really good sleep, like a big 9-hour sleep Saturday night. And then I was fine yesterday. Did yoga, trained yesterday, had a good session. And so my period started yesterday. So that's been a pretty heavy period. So that's the reason why I would have been so tired Saturday and done well.
Yep.
So that was the beginning of that. So you kind of go, oh, okay, it is that.
You backed up after me.
Yeah, I know what's going on. But it's one of those things. And I've trained well today. Even though it's not been the most comfortable day, I've had a really good training session.
Oh,
so
good.
Sometimes you've got to go, do you know what are my wins here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When everything doesn't go to right or feels great, sometimes other things can excel as well. So I think for that reason, I've had a good week, I should say then. It's been more pros and cons, so it's been good. Yeah.
Can I also add in, and I want to celebrate you, Miss Kerry?
Why?
Oh, she's like, yes, let's do that, but why?
Because you've said quite a few times that technology is not your biggest strong suit.
Yeah.
You sent a first mail out.
I know.
Oh, that's so big and that's so good.
I know. So a lot of people know that, like, Paul's my business manager. He's also my coach now, but also he has been helping me immensely with my business on the things that I can't do. So
just don't know
I just don't know how to do, to be honest. And computers and myself are not friends, I would say. Things just get lost and they just go everywhere. There's files everywhere and it just doesn't seem to make sense. It's like I look at the Matrix sometimes when I'm looking into my computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll look at something else like nutrition, just like that with me.
Yeah.
But then going to a computer trying to do Excel and stuff, I'm like, what is this language? It just does not make sense. So it's just funny, like some things I get straight away, no brainer, and other things that just fucking go over my head.
Yeah.
But when someone sits down with you and shows you and is very patient, then it goes a long way because it does help. So yeah, my first email went out. So now I do have a bit of a mail, what's it called? Newsletter?
A mailing list?
Yeah, mailing
newsletter?
list. So yes, that's what it's called. Yeah. But because I know how to do it now, it's like, okay, is that it?
Yes.
I know what to bloody do now.
Yes.
So yeah, a few more ticky boxes now.
So everybody go subscribe.
Yes,
And where
please.
can they subscribe?
So if you go to my website, you will see a little box in there where you can add to my mailing list.
I love
Yay.
that. I need to go do it.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and one final thing. Yesterday we had a Muscle Nation sale yesterday here, and we were just selling some of the supplements.
Yes.
So through one of my beautiful clients who had some stock to sell, so that went really well. Yeah, and you girls came along.
We did.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Have
so it
some
was just
protein
great to
custard
help.
for when I'm starving.
Yeah, so it was just great to help a friend. And we do have some stock left, so if anyone's interested, hit me up on that.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul's excited because that will go well in the Ninja Creamy.
Oh, did you get one?
Yeah, we got one.
Did you get one?
Because
What do you mean? We've had it for ages.
What do you mean? Oh, I'm so jealous.
See, I kept looking at them, and then I didn't actually realise that there was a Ninja Creamy, the actual machine itself,
Yeah,
until the other day.
Oh, you're hilarious.
Yeah. So I was doing the air fryer kind of like rabbit hole looking at those,
Yep.
and now I found out it's actually a Ninja Creamy. I thought it was just actually people using the Ninja and freezing
and
it,
calling
and
it
then
that.
freezing it. I just thought that because you can make your own
Yeah.
creamy that way, can't you?
Yeah, it's just
Not the same.
not the same. Like this actually creams it up, so it's really like ice cream.
Okay.
And Sax loves it. Like the kids, Sax loves sorbet.
Yeah.
But traditional sorbet is so full of sugar, we know.
Yeah.
So he just gets frozen fruit and makes his own sorbet. It's literally just frozen fruit.
How long does it take to make?
Oh, you've got to like set it for 24 hours. Like it's got to set for
Yeah, okay.
Or you don't have to. Like you can put it in the freezer for a few hours and get it set enough. It's up to you. Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to use.
Oh,
them.
it's so
Okay.
easy. So easy.
Oh, it's just another gadget. It's like
It's just another gadget.
This is my problem. I have so many things, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, do I need another
Yeah.
bulky piece
Yeah.
of? Because my kitchen is not big at all.
Yeah. See, we're quite lucky because we've got a butler's pantry and there's a bench in there.
well,
So you can put
So
things in there.
I hide things in there and it's in there. Because it gets used every single day.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't something that was used often, I'd just put it in the cupboard and But like honestly, we use it every single day. Paul uses it and the kids use it.
Yeah.
So
I am very jealous though.
That's why I want to upgrade my air fryer because I
Yeah.
use it a lot and it's just
Yeah,
not
I
big
use
enough
mine
now,
a
so I need to
lot
get a
too.
bigger one.
I saw one the other day.
Do right.
Yeah, we love ours. I saw one the other day too, which is like dual. So it's like two.
Yes, I saw that.
It's like two drawers.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I don't need a new one. But I wanted
There
it.
is a Ninja one as well,
Don't
so I was
you
looking. So there's a
know?
2-drawer Ninja.
Yeah.
There's also a big drawer Ninja where you can put a compartment down the centre, which
Oh.
gives you the opportunity to do double
Yeah.
cooking
Is
times.
it the one that's got the rack as well? So you
no,
can choose
it's
to
just
do
like
a
the thing
rack.
that you pull out.
Because there's one that's got a rack as well. So
Yes.
it's like a big drawer and it's
Yeah.
got a rack so you can have bottom and top.
Oh, my sister's got one like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking that the dual compartment's good for like when you're in prep and
Yes.
you're
Yes.
both cooking and you
Yeah.
need to pre-weigh
Yes.
your stuff first.
Yes.
Before it cooks. So I was
Yes.
like,
Yeah, but if you're in prep, yours gets priority anyway, so it doesn't matter.
you'd think so.
You know what? I get my dinner first. If the boys are making it, I get my dinner first every
Yeah.
time because they just don't want to deal with the hanger.
Yeah, they can see you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, fuck here, mum, please stop. I love it.
Mum's hungry.
I'll take it.
That's funny.
I'll take it.
Love it.
Well, that was a good chat, girl.
Yeah. Next week's episode.
Next week. Yeah, so moving on to our topic now. I just love this topic so much because I mean, I'm 40, or in my 40s, I'm nearly 44 actually. Kelly's almost 41.
Almost.
And Moni, you're in your 30s still. But when we can all tell tales of how we felt when we was in our teens and our 20s based on how we feel now.
Yep.
So finally growing into the person you are. And we probably still have a lot of growth to go as well.
Yeah.
But it is like, who the fuck am I? And it's just a good place to be in when you kind of finally realise that you kind of finally know who you are. So over the years, Kel, like, what experience have you had? What's kind of helped you grow for you to be able to find like who you are now?
So for me, it was hard because I had kids, my first child when I was 18, and then I backed that right up 10 and a half months later with another one.
Yeah.
So I had 2 kids under one by the time I was 19. So it was a lot. But it also meant that I didn't get that opportunity to go out, be a psycho, do dumb shit,
Yep.
travel the world. Like, I never had that opportunity. So from my adult years, I was a mum straight away. And then I got married and divorced quite quickly with a partner that wasn't the dad of the kids. And then I found Lee after that as well. So, like, I had quite a big period of, like, a lot of weird shit happening that would happen later on in life. And so I think that for the most part, a lot of my 20s was me trying to find a group of people and fit in.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fitting in. It was never, like, I was always too scared to, and I'd had a shit, like, high school years and things like that. Like, I never really fit in with people necessarily. And so I was always doing things to try and fit in. So I was never my authentic self, I don't think, in my 20s.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't know who I was because I had kids, and so all I was a mum.
Yeah.
And then into my 30s, it was like, something's not right here. Like, I need to, like, my kids are starting to get a bit older, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, what, you know, and people ask you those questions, like, when you meet new people, it's like, you know, what are your hobbies and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I like doing outside of being a mum. Like, who am I? And then all those questions kind of creep in. And then my big moment, which I think I've spoken about before on the podcast, where I was on snowboarding and I kind of, you know, couldn't get up and had that meltdown moment of, like, I was fat and hated myself and all that sort of stuff. But along with that whole thing came with, like, who the fuck even are you? Like, what are you doing with your life? Where are you? Like, just a whole barrage of, like, shit.
What age was that?
36.
36, yeah.
And then I found Paul and started exercising. And it sounds stupid, but through that process, I found out who I was. Because as I pushed other people's wants and needs of me aside and I started putting myself first for a little bit, it's like, and then I found who my real friends were through that, if that makes sense. So it was like, I can't do that this weekend because, you know, this is my priority. And people are like, well, and then they just stop contacting you because you're saying no. And it's like, okay, well, I thought we were friends. Like, I'm there for you when you need me, but also I need to be there for myself as well. And so I think I learned a lot about myself through that. But it's also why I'm so passionate and I love prep so much, is because my first real prep that I did, I feel like I found who I was through that, because you, at the very end of that prep, like, at the end of prep, you have nothing left to give. Like, there's nothing, you've got the bare minimum amount of energy to put into things around you that's not just trying to breathe and train. And then I think that through that process, I discovered, like, the things that were actually important to me in life, because it was like, I've got this tiny little ball of energy left. Where do I give that to? Like, what am I giving that to? Who am I giving that to? And through that process, like, I just learned a lot about myself. And then every time I prep after that, it's the same thing. Like, I just learned so much about what's important to me, who I want to spend time with, what I've got energy for, and things like that. And obviously I fell in love with weightlifting, and, like, so it was just like a progression thing for me. But I had to be at that really shitty dark space for me of being like, who the fuck am I? I hate everything about myself. I don't know what the fuck
So that
I'm
was
doing.
like your pivoting moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like that moment there kicked me into finding out, well, who the fuck am I? Like, what do I like doing in my spare time? Who do I like spending my time with? What are my belief systems? Because for so long I'd been trying to mimic other people and fit in with other people that it's like, well, what actually do I believe in?
Yeah.
Like, what am I, what's important to me in life? What are the things that I hold in a high regard? And, so yeah, it took years and it's still happening now. Obviously, I learn bits about myself all the time now, but it was the eye-opening part of it, I think, that kind of set me on that journey, if that makes sense. Yeah. So now I'm always now open to different things and
like self-development.
Yeah,
and things
self-development.
Like
I used to hate being alone. Like, I used to hate being by myself, and now I love my own time for myself. Like, I love it so much. I wouldn't want to be alone all the time, but I am much more comfortable sitting with myself and thinking about things and being in my own head. And but that has taken years to come to that. So that's kind of
great.
my who the fuck am I journey.
And the same with you, Moni, because you started off, you had your children younger as well, and you was married at a young age.
Yeah. So I really resonate with a lot of that, but I think mine stems even further back than that with a bit more childhood stuff. So I very much grew up never feeling enough, never feeling good enough, smart enough, all the enoughs, fill in every word you want. So then I took that into my primary school years, my high school years, and that just need for acceptance and validation and searching for love in all the wrong places and that whole train wreck of a situation. So I definitely had a lot of that in my life. And then same, I had Mia when I was 21, doing the right, we had Sax and doing the right thing. We got married and then I was divorced at 25 and it just wasn't the right thing.
Yeah.
And then after that, just having another relationship and it ending really badly and really awful. And that was the catalyst for me to go, I need to stop doing this to myself. I 100% was trying to fit myself into areas, groups of friends. And I had, at that same time of that relationship breakdown, I had a massive breakdown with my best friend. So I felt like my whole world around me had crumbled. My relationship with my ex-husband back then also was not good. So every relationship in my life was a complete mess. And I was just like, I need to stop trying to change myself to fit in with what other people want because I'm letting them down anyway. I'm not able to be what I think they want me to be. So now I'm feeling even more shit about myself because even when I'm faking it, I'm still not good enough. And I had this real big moment of, I just need to stop doing this to myself. And I made a promise to myself then that I was going to stop doing that. I didn't know how it looked because I literally had no idea who the fuck I was. Literally no idea. And I said, from now on, if I feel like I'm trying to be someone I'm not, I'm going to pull myself up on it really quickly. And I'm just so thankful that I met Paul and he was such a beautiful person to go down that journey with because I was literally figuring shit out. I've then gone through some crazy journeys on some crazy things after that. Just going, do I like this? Let's just see. Let's try some stuff out. Nope, don't like that. Bail on that. Let's move this way now. I've zigged and zagged all over the place trying to figure this stuff out. And then I think the next big catalyst for that then became I found something I loved and I put my entire identity into it and then I got injured. And then what?
Yes, that's a big one, isn't it?
So that's the next big piece of that. I think a lot of people throw their entire identity behind one thing, whether it be I'm just a mum, I'm a wife, I'm this person, I'm this employee, I'm this business owner. And for me, it was I'm the bikini girl posing coach.
Yeah.
My business, because Kerry, you and I were in the same comp team.
Yeah.
And I was the only bikini girl. So I literally took that as my identity and that was something I ran with. My posing business was up and coming and was going really, really well. So I really created this whole identity around it. And then I hurt my back. And then I literally felt like I can't do this anymore. I'm not this person anymore. Who am I? I've spent the last how many years defining my worth by this, and now it's gone. And that was a really hard journey. And I still definitely now am still working through some things, but I really feel like I've definitely come out the other side of that, because I've realised that pinning your entire worth and self on one thing is not good, because if that one thing goes...
It's like having your eggs all in one basket,
100%.
right?
Oh, definitely.
100%. And I feel like we probably see this a lot in this comp prep space, where someone is like, I'm an athlete and I'm an athlete only, I'm this, I'm that, and very quickly forget the partner, children, and the other things that go with it. And I think that's another really important part of this Who the Fuck Am I, is knowing that you're more than just one thing. You're allowed to be 10 things. You know, you can have black and white. We can have shades of grey. We don't have to be one or the other.
Yeah. That makes so much sense with what you said to me when I first started this prep, though.
Yep.
That makes so much more sense.
Now you're like,
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
But even like, say if we have a day off or something, when you've classed yourself as an athlete for so long, or you come like I came out from like being in comp prep all last year, like it's had that pull away from
It's very
like,
hard.
should I be doing this today because I am athlete Kerry? Or maybe I'll have a day off. I'll just be Kerry. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard sometimes to, I'm either coach Kerry, I'm athlete Kerry. Mum, do you know what I mean? It's hard sometimes to be, who are you within that little space? But it's good to kind of start realising that you are not just that one thing.
Yeah, and I think it's being careful of the labels that we put on it as well. Like it's good to reference and be like, yeah, that's that, but saying I am this.
Yeah.
I think we've got to be sometimes careful of that, because we do get too hung up on those labels.
I get really mad at Lee for putting himself in a box all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. What about you, Kerry?
Oh, I started off, I don't know, like I'd say same thing. I was at school.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of friends, but I was never kind of in a group of friends.
Yes.
So there was the popular girls and there was the popular kind of naughty girls over here. So I was like floating around everywhere. Like I just hung around with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there'd be people who wasn't at my school but lived around my estate. But I never kind of like had those like soul kind of people who I was always
Like
with.
close girls. Yeah.
So I was always like a bit of a floater all the way through school. And then it was same in my teens. But I mean, I'm still friends with some of the girls who I was at school with and hung around with after. But again, I was just a bit of floater everywhere.
Yeah.
Always searching for something like, who am I? Kind of searching. Like I was always a party girl who was probably always a drunkenest person at the party. I was probably always the instigator of, let's go to another club, let's go and do this, go and do
quests.
that. Yeah, side quests all the time. So always chasing something and just so impulsive as well. Like I said, Mum, I'm just going to go and live in Magaluf for a bit. So I went off and worked there for 2 years. And she's like, what? So a lot of things like I did, and it was just like there was no thought behind, okay, this is real life kind of thing now. Like you can't just go off and do these things. So a lot of things like that, but I had a great time. Like I've done a lot of things when I was younger, which I do not regret whatsoever, because I lived a life. And it's funny because like I met my husband when I was over working overseas as well, from the same town kind of thing, but came back with him and then started my life as a couple, buying a house together, getting married, all those kind of things. And that was it then. But then it's funny because when Phil met me, he said how loud I was. And then I started to kind of shrink. My personality started to go into like, who am I now? Because I was going away from party Kerry into this new person. And it was a bit odd that I didn't kind of know who I was then. So I just don't know, I just had to shrink from the person I used to be.
Yeah.
And had kids, and then it's funny, when I hit 30, I just spoke about this last time, I hated turning 30.
Yeah.
It was kind of a milestone of me going, shit, it's adult time now, even though it's a bit later into adulthood, but it's what it felt like. And I think as well because all of my friends at the time were all about 6 years older than me, because they were all the Phil's 6 years older than me, so that kind of age group. So a little bit older, and yeah, I always felt like the baby of the group, so I could still be the one who was still partying and doing things like that. But yeah, we moved over here when I was 32. So I moved over here when I was 32 years old then. And that again, I even lost my personality even more then. New country, new friends, even though we moved here with friends, we was all doing our own thing because we had kids different ages. And I just didn't know who I was then at all. And it was a hard time. No grandparents here to look after the kids, and trying to find a new career, trying to do things. And I just kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And I just found it hard sometimes to have a bigger personality to where I used to be. And it's only when I then fell into was going to the gym, which I did continue from the UK. Got into a really nice group of friends who had started doing challenges at the gym. And I do believe that fitness propelled me into building more confidence and doing things like that.
Yeah.
So making new friends, finding that actually I was good at something, which was weight training. Found out I was stronger. And this really, really helped me to build confidence. So I was becoming a new kind of person who I wanted to be. And then from doing the challenges, went into competing, and then just fell in love with health and fitness to a point where it became my career. And that's what it was then. It was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I couldn't stop thinking about it when I was doing my day job. And I'm like, this is what I need to do. I need to stop talking about it to my boss because he's probably pissed off with me every single day. Just go off and do your own thing now because... Yeah, you know, don't you? Like, if you cannot stop talking about something, then that's where you need to be.
Absolutely.
That's your passion, right?
Yeah. And I think over the years, like developing, working at a commercial gym was great, and then opening my own space. I mean, it's only been the past like year and a half now where I reckon that I know who I am now. And during that time as well, 41 years old, I started going down the route of, I realised that I had symptoms of ADHD. So this is when a lot of things where I went, oh shit, that's me. So that was at age 41. It actually took 12 months to get a full diagnosis from a psychiatrist then. So then that's what I did. That was 42 years old. And at that moment I went, fuck, this is the missing piece to my puzzle. So all those years of going, why am I like this? Why am I always doing these impulsive things all the time? But as well, with those things, I'm like, I always wondered like I have a superpower as well, and I do believe it is one thing as well which makes me do all these amazing things. And it's just, even though I went through a bit of a period where it's called a grieving period, so you kind of look back in time and go, why didn't I get diagnosed earlier? Because it would have been easier on certain aspects of life. But then I don't think I would have done what I have done now if I'd have got diagnosed. I think I'd have put limitations in my way of moving to Australia. Actually getting on a bodybuilding stage, opening my own gym. So I do think
at least you know
everything happened the way it should have happened.
Well, you know you can do those things now. So now that you have the diagnosis, it's like, well, who gives a fuck? I can still do it because I've already done it. And it's funny because like some people know, some people don't know. It's just it comes in conversation or it doesn't come in conversation. It's not like I'm a new person. It's always been me. Nothing has changed whatsoever. And so from that moment, I found my missing piece to my puzzle. So for me, and I know a lot of females are going through this at the moment, and it's very common within the 40 pluses, I would say, and it's due to a lot through hormone changes. So people like coming into perimenopausal, they're getting symptoms which they would have had before, but it's being just so like propelled into a point where they need to get help now. And it's all through hormonal changes. So it's very common, and I've got so many friends who are business owners, teachers, entrepreneurs, and you can see the kind of common trend of like these people doing amazing things, but they only can get so far because obviously at this point now they need some help. And it's just so good now that it's being more spoke about now. So it's common because I do believe that things have changed over the years in the fact that our diets have changed. Our brains are so busy with everything we have to do that we weren't supposed to be so busy. We're in constant stimulation all the time. Absolutely. It's funny because like we joke about me having, like Lee jokes about it, and I am actually getting worse. My attention span is so small.
You're just going to turn 41. So at 41 was a point for me. See?
Which is why you just said that. I'm like, and the funniest thing is I was speaking to one of my clients on the weekend, and she's just recently been diagnosed as well. And I've had all this literature come up, and it's actually women over the age of 35. There's all these women being diagnosed with it. But I was saying to my client on the weekend who's just been diagnosed recently, and I said to her, I'm managing it, so like I won't worry too much. And she said, don't do that because it takes a long time to get diagnosed properly. And she said sometimes and it's not saying that it's going to happen to me, but sometimes it will get to a point where you actually can't manage it anymore, and it's going to be too late because then you've got to go through that diagnosis.
Yes.
And that's like a 12-month
Mine was 2 years in total, so it's a long, long time. But it's an amazing thing as well. Like, it has a lot of like challenges.
Yes.
But at the same time, I love who I am now.
Yeah.
Because I found who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that fucking makes sense.
It's really interesting as a mum with a child who's diagnosed. I think there was always a lot of stigma around it being a naughty boys thing.
Yes.
And that's why I think like we're seeing so many more women now, the 35 plus being diagnosed.
Yeah.
Because 20 years ago, you wouldn't have diagnosed these women as having it because the symptoms can be quite different from boys to girls, especially in their schooling ages. And I loved how you just said then that you having this doesn't change you. And I think that's a really important part, that we don't need to take this label and go and stamp it on your forehead.
Yeah.
So my son didn't know he had ADHD or dyslexia, which he has both, until he was old enough to understand what it actually meant.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want him blaming it and that being a reason why he couldn't do things.
Yes.
Well, people tend to make it their, like you were
Making
saying,
it your identity.
It makes it your identity.
And you hang your hat on it and it is you, and you can't. And it's a very tricky, touchy subject, absolutely, because there's definitely different severities of it.
Yes.
You know, it can be debilitating for a lot of people.
Yes.
And then other people can manage quite fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think, the important conversation around that is if you think you're having some challenges, look into it.
Yeah.
Because you just never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so glad it is being talked about more because it really gets rid of that stigma.
Oh, it really does. It's I just hope they should give it a new name, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it being an attention deficit.
Yeah.
And it's far from that.
Yeah.
We have too much attention. That's a problem.
I was going to say it's
There's
kind
way
of
too much
funny how
attention going on.
they call it that, because a lot of it's hyper attention.
Yeah.
As in, like, you are hyper
Hyper-focused.
fixated on stuff.
But it's also the word disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also the thing that then puts it into that negative headspace about it being that
Absolutely.
it's something that's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So now you need to be medicated because you have something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, for me to kind of explain it in a way that our brains don't switch off. So thinking a hell of a lot about multiple things at once, over and over again. And it's quite draining.
Yeah.
Like, my brain's switched on all the time. And I do a lot in a day.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about multiple things, and to a point where when my day finishes, I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
Because my brain's just constantly curious. It's thinking about other things, what I can be doing next, what I need to do in 2 days' time.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that on the wall over there? So a lot of things my brain is focusing on, and attention is in a hell of a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can be quite exhausting.
Yeah.
So when I finish work sometimes, I'm just a bit tired because my brain has been on supercharged.
All day, yeah.
Yeah. So my psychiatrist, he actually explained it to me of, imagine having 2 buckets. Someone who doesn't have ADHD, you have 2 buckets of water. Someone who doesn't have ADHD has little small holes in their bucket, so their dopamine starts to trickle through the day. Someone who does has big holes in that bucket.
So it's just leaking.
It's leaking straight away, and it goes very quickly.
Yeah.
So you can see how we might wake up with dopamine in the morning, but we can lose it very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Another thing my son's pediatrician said, and I loved this analogy, especially for a child, was you are an F1 race car, like the fastest race car on earth, but you have bicycle brakes. And I was like, that is great.
How's that resonate with you, Kerry?
But for him, it absolutely was, because he was zooming, he was fast, and his brain was just on, and he is so witty and intelligent and so across everything. But those brakes are like bicycle brakes.
Yeah.
Like, he just does not know how to slow down. He crashes a lot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's so amazing that, I don't know, it's just being able to think outside the box all the time. Like, I have so many amazing ideas.
Yes.
And my brain just probably thinks outside of other boxes that people don't think about at all.
Yeah.
And come up with like creative ideas.
You can be quite creative.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just amazing how, everyone's brains work differently.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool how there is more and more kind of avenues for people to go down whichever way you want to.
Yeah.
Some people can learn very easily at school, other people it's more hands-on. So it's just really cool how, yes, it's not perfect, but there is more and more avenues out there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I work very well like with people, and that's my thing, and that's why another thing why I need a business coach to help with the computer side of it, because face to face I love it.
Yes.
Computers not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, ladies? So if anyone's listening to this and they're like, you know what, I resonate with a lot of this, but I don't know who the hell I am. What should I do? How do I figure this out? Do we have any tips on things
I was
about
literally
this?
about to ask that question.
I love that.
But I was just thinking, like, obviously I was about to ask it, but then also think about things to say about it. But I think that be curious.
Be curious,
like
yep.
Kerry was saying, like, be curious and explore different avenues.
Yeah.
Like, for me, my, like, careers that I've had, I barely held a job for 2 years.
Me too,
Like,
yay.
barely held a job for 2 years. And people used to shit on me
Yep,
for it.
same.
And it was like, you change jobs a lot and this and that. And I'm like, I don't fucking like what I'm doing.
Yep.
I'm bored. I fucking hate it. Like, I learned how to do it. I now do it at 110%. And it's boring as
How long have you
batshit.
been PTing for now?
This will be year 4.
See,
Exactly.
you've gone past that expiry.
Correct.
Yep.
Because I love it.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
fucking love
See,
this
you was
space.
meant to do this. That's
Yes.
the thing. Once you get there, you go, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
This is the
Your
problem, though,
destination.
I think, is a lot of societal expectations. So when I first was going to become a PT, I asked a few different people. Lee will always support me no matter what I want to do. He is the best support person anyone could ever ask for. He will always support me. And so he was really good. But there are other people in my family who are like, no, you can't do that. It's oversaturated. You're never going to make it. You're not going to, you can't make a career out of it, blah, blah, blah. It's one person, which was Paul, to say to me, yes, the market is oversaturated. 100%. It is. There are so many PTs, but there are very few great PTs, and you would make a
good.
great PT. And that's why I went, fuck it. Like, what have you got to lose?
What have you got to lose, Kelly?
Yeah.
I could have been stuck in my shitty ass fucking
Yeah.
job that I hated every fucking day, going to working 9 to 5 for someone else, this is my problem. Every job that I've had, I've always been making rich people richer, and that doesn't sit well with my values at all. So as I learnt who I was, and this all came around, do you know what I mean? It was like very fruition across my years. It was like, first I was like, who the fuck am I? And then I'm exploring myself and trying to work out who I am. And then part of that was like, these are my belief systems and this is what I hold dear. And one of my things, like loyalty is one of my biggest, I think, things that I hold on to. But, you know, everyone just has their opinions on everything, and it's like, I hated my job. I hated everything about my job. I never liked what I did. All I was doing is making rich people richer, and I don't want to be that person. I want to be someone who helps people. That's what I do, and that's what I love doing, and that's like, everyone's always like, you're such a nice person, and it is like, I like the helping people part, and so that's why it kind of pushed me into this direction, and now here I am. Do you know what I mean? So don't let people around you put you back in a box if that's not where you belong.
It's even when you thought about that, you don't want to be that person. Do you know when you were skiing?
Yeah.
It's like with me when I was in the garage, and I was like, I don't want to be this person who was sad. I knew who I could be.
Yes.
And for me, like, that was my pathway to go, and I'm not that person here, but I knew who I want to be.
Yeah.
And that was me reaching for that. So I think for a lot of people, if you're not happy where you are, it's like, who do you want to be then?
Yes.
And then how do you get there?
Yes.
What are the next steps to become that person? Is it changing career?
Yeah.
Is it getting into an unhappy relationship or working on your relationship?
Yeah.
Moving countries. I mean, there could be multiple things, but it's like, whatever it is, like, don't be stagnant with what you're doing, because it's never going to happen, is it?
No.
Yeah. It's reverse engineer it. So look at the end goal and work backwards.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, the thing that I get brought up a lot is that, like, I'm always wanting more. Like, I always want to be more. I want to be better. I want to be this. I want to be... And people are like, but there's nothing wrong with you now. And I said, no. It's okay to want more and be okay with who you are still.
Yeah, you're just trying to grow more. That's what it is. You're just trying to... But if that's what excites you as well, You like working. You like
Love
having
working.
challenges. You like working towards something. So that's going to keep you thriving.
If I won the lotto, I would still do my job.
Yeah. Me too.
Because I fucking love it.
Also, if when like a lot of that, what you just said then, Kel, is about what other people are saying to you.
Yes.
Be very selective.
Yes.
With the people you listen to.
Yes.
So the people giving you those bits of advice, are they happy in their own life? Do they know who they are? Because if the answer to that is no, don't take their
I was going to
advice.
say, funny enough, you know, the people that usually give me dieting advice and tell me if I'm too skinny or too fat in
Yeah.
my seasons,
Don't take their advice.
Are usually not the people who
Yeah.
are very happy with themselves in
Exactly.
the first place.
And that's usually because you're either triggering them or you're holding a mirror to them
Yeah.
and they're seeing something in
Yeah.
that. So they're becoming activated and very vocal in it.
Yeah.
So just making sure that if you are going to ask other people for their suggestions and recommendations, make sure it is people that you do love and trust and that are walking the talk.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's really important.
Yeah, it
But then
is.
another thing is too, sometimes outside noise is too loud
Yeah.
and you do just need to shut it out
Yeah.
and just come back into you and just listen to what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think learning to be okay with your thoughts in your head is a really good place to start as well.
Absolutely.
Because they're usually things that are telling you the right stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen to your gut instinct as well, because that's
Yeah.
generally right, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're still struggling, get support, get professional help elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's heaps of life coaches.
Absolutely. Yes, there
Some
is.
wonderful life coaches out
Yeah.
there. I can give you the name of one.
Yeah, and they can help you
Maybe
step
just drop
this.
the name into the bio.
They can step you through it. Like that is what their job is
Yeah.
there to
Yeah.
do and to help you with.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I think that the problem for you, Mon, unfortunately, is there's so many shit life coaches out there like PTs.
Yep.
But no one knows what a life coach is, right? And but this is the perfect example, I think.
Yeah. I think one of the challenges with COVID was everyone decided to become a coach of some sort. And we definitely saw a lot of PTs, we saw a lot of NLP coaches, we saw a lot of not life coaches, we saw a lot of people do these weekend courses. And that definitely made things muddy and cloudy. But the ones that know what they're talking about will stay the test of time.
Yeah.
And just check out their socials and their web pages and you'll work it out pretty quickly for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But also too, I think one important misconception with a life coach is a life coach doesn't tell you what to do.
No.
A lot of people think, I'll go to that life coach because I like their house and their car. I want a life like them. It doesn't work like that.
No.
A life coach will hold that mirror to you
Yeah.
and help you work through this. They'll never tell
Yeah.
you what to do. They'll ask you the questions to help you get there and
Yeah.
figure it out for yourself.
Any other
Right.
tips, ladies?
No, I don't think so. It's
I like what you said, be curious.
Be curious.
Be curious. I think it is. Yeah. Just go into your own head as well and think
Yeah.
about.
I have one. It just triggered. Oh my God.
What is it?
Don't be afraid to fail.
Oh, yes.
See?
Oh,
It was so important that I said it right then.
Yes,
oh my
that
goodness.
was necessary.
I actually am listening to the podcast of Lane Norton and Stephen Bartlett.
Oh my
Diary
God,
CEO.
me too.
Oh, I love so much. And I've screenshotted it to go back to this point where he
Yeah.
talks about failure. He talks about the most successful people in the world look for failure.
Yeah.
How can I fail from this because I'll learn from this?
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got to go back and re-get the
Listen
whole
to
bit.
it again, yeah.
And he was talking about how the thing that kills people's dreams is not the failure, it's the fear to start.
Yes.
And it's the procrastination.
Yes.
I was like, yes, I love that.
So I think that's an important part of learning who the fuck you are, though.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail because you can't be curious without failure.
Exactly.
But you're also not going to learn without failure.
Yes.
Listen, look at how much. I can list my jobs out for you if you
Yeah.
like, and there was at least 25. Like, I swear to God, I am not that old, right?
No.
But it's like, tried something, hated it, moved on, and I have. But everything that I've done has led me to where I am because
Exactly.
now I'm really good in business in all different aspects. Because I was a social media manager at one stage.
Yeah.
I was a photographer at one stage. I've done. Do you know what I mean? Like I've done.
What's your worst
so
job?
many. Oh, fuck, I don't know. That's a hard one. Do you want to know what my favourite job is besides what I do now?
What?
Bar work.
Yeah, I enjoy bar
See,
work.
that's funny
Fucking
because
loved
you
it.
asked me what my worst job was and that came straight to my mind.
Yeah, but you were out at the mines.
Yeah.
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 I was a manager at Coyote Ugly and I was dancing on a bar in
Yeah, see, that's
jeans
fun.
and a shirt. It was
Can
awesome.
I tell you the most random job I had?
Yes.
So I don't know if you have them over here. So in the UK, you have like an ice cream, which has like a gumball in the bottom. It's called a screwball anyway.
Okay.
So I was manning this machine. In
This is why we need
ice cream
videos.
Factory. I watched this machine drop a gumball, or a chewing gum, as you call it in the UK, into the pot. And if it missed one, I would pop it in.
Wow, what a job.
This is 8
Oh
hours
my
per day.
God, Carrie, you must have wanted
Only
to
a
throw
teenager.
yourself down the
This
stairs.
was in between me coming back from Spain and then going back again. So I came back for a short period.
You would have hated that.
It was pretty funny, to be honest. It was like good money for doing nothing. It was just so random, like student shifts. Yeah, it was a pretty random job.
I had another job that was soul destroying, and it was working. It was working in a body corporate, and I thought, yeah, get into real estate. This is gonna be great. Anyways, working in a body corporate, and my job literally was to make tea and coffee, like so instant coffee and 2 Arnott's milk arrowroot biscuits for the whole office whenever they wanted it, and also to put away files. And my desk was near the filing cabinet, and it was so annoying because some of the people would come over, they'd grab the file out of the filing cabinet, stand there, check something, and then dump it on my desk.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you're right fucking there. You
Like
haven't
you
even
literally
moved.
pulled it out.
You haven't
Just
moved.
put it back where you got it from.
It was so annoying because then I'd get in trouble if I hadn't pulled the files away. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're taking them out and looking at it in the same spot as where you got it from, and then you're walking over here and dumping it on my desk.
Wow.
It was soul destroying. Yeah.
I see. I think that I don't think about it being a shit job because it's just I pulled something out of everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So-
I pulled that people are lazy out of that one.
Yeah.
Rather pay someone to make your tea and coffee and put your files away than just do it yourself.
Fair.
Oh my goodness.
So thank you everyone for tuning into this episode, and that was actually one of my favourite ones. It was a lot of fun, as always. So if you did like this episode, please like and share it to your stories, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
So once again, Queen,
We got you.